Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to watch the two players practicing there on your screen square off for the AMF Christown $1,000 championship. The players today bowled on a very demanding 44-foot pattern. It played very flat, very similar to US Open for any of you that have bowled on that before. It was very dry in the middle of the lane, still out of bounds on the right, to the right part of the lane, so almost a flip-flop of what you're used to on a house shot. So now when you miss a little to the left, your ball overhooks instead of pushes, and now when you miss a little to the right, it pushes instead of hooking back to get to the pocket. So very demanding lane condition. This was actually the same lane condition that we used for our 2012 Pruitt's Match Play Invitational Tournament, which took place a couple days ago. The final match for that tournament can also be found on our website. The format that these two players will be bowling today is a one-game match, heads up, with handicap. The winner will be taking home $1,000, the title, the big check, the bragging rights, all that good stuff. The runner-up will be taking home $500. So let's introduce our players. Your number 2 seed and this weekend's B Division champion. He qualified on Saturday through our very popular senior and women's division cut. This cut allows us to guarantee a high senior or a woman each day, Saturday and Sunday. It's not a feature that's available at a lot of tournaments, but it's a feature that a lot of people like. He advanced through that feature on Saturday. He then bowled 667 with handicap during the quarterfinals. In the next semifinal round, he was bowling against two other competitors, won that match play match with a score of 195, which has brought him to where he is now. Also, a very interesting note, like I said earlier, the players this weekend, or for this event, bowled on the same pattern as they did for the 2012 Pruitt's Match Play Invitational, or the PMI, as we call it. And your number 2 seed was actually the highest finishing player during the PMI that didn't have buys, so it was clear that he actually bowled pretty well during the PMI. It's the same pattern, so you would think he's got a pretty good chance, and it's clear that that's the case. As he is your number 2 seed today. So without further ado, your number 2 seed is Ted McKay, and Ted will be getting 32 pins of handicap for this match. Your number 1 seed really doesn't need an introduction, but I will do my best to give him one. He actually was the winner of our PMI event that I mentioned earlier. He actually won that event from the winner's bracket. He got 3 buys as the number 3 seed in our season points. He got 3 buys. Ended up running the winner's bracket and winning the first game of the PMI match to get 4 event exemptions. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with how exemptions work, if you have an event exemption, that means you can use it on any of our non-major events, and it will seed you directly into the quarterfinals. You don't have to try and qualify. You're just immediately in the quarterfinals. So, winning the PMI event, David got 4 event exemptions. Now, he has a choice of when to use those, and he decided to not use it at first for this event, for our standard event. He tried to qualify. He was actually unable to do so, so then he used his exemption, and that's how he made it to the quarterfinals. What makes that kind of interesting is that he bowled on the pattern for the PMI. He did well. He won that. He bowled on the same pattern now during the quarterfinals of this event and did well to get to this final match. But for whatever reason, during the qualifying part of this tournament, the pattern, that specific part of the pattern, during that specific part of transition, I should say, he didn't match up well. So it's interesting to note that, but he did use his exemption. He did get seeded in the quarterfinals. From the quarterfinals on, he bowled 698 in the quarterfinals to be the top seed in the A Division. He then bowled the number 4 seed, Bill Brackett, in the first round of the A Division semis. He defeated Bill with a score of 211 with handicap. In the second round, he went on to bowl Hokie, and Hokie had just come from winning a very close match that went to a 9th and 10th ring roll-off. David was on his game that match. He bowled 260 with handicap, bowled a great game for the conditions. And that brought him where he is now, and he's got the opportunity now to go back-to-back, not back-to-back standard events, but back-to-back events. So far, our only person to go back-to-back standard events was Brian Cale, who won 1,500 during our Thanksgiving Day event and 1,000 following at the Glenfair event. David Kurlan has the opportunity to go back-to-back for the PMI event, and then this is our first standard event of the 2013 season. So, without further ado, as you already know, your number 1 seed, Cranky himself, Mr. David Kurlan. And David will be getting 12 pins of handicap for this match. David having the higher score in the semifinal round prior to this match has given him the ability to choose the order of match play. He has chosen to have Ted start the match in the left lane. So Ted's about to get us started right now. This is going to be our first event of 2013 season. Not only our first champion, potentially season points leader, a lot of things at stake here. Ted's going to get us started on the left lane. Here we go. Well, that brings our first event of the 2013 season to a close. As you all witnessed there, David Kurlan defeated Ted McKay with a score of 213 to 191 with handicap. Again, almost similar to the PMI match that David was in. It looked very back and forth, with both of them opening, but David being down because of the handicap. And then David finds a way in both matches, the PMI and this one, to string a few strikes there at the end. His opponent normally opens during that string, and it normally gives him just enough to squeak by. And congratulations to David. He went back-to-back this weekend, winning the PMI and winning our first event in 2013 season. Now, what's interesting about this is that David will get the first title of the 2013 season, but Ted will actually have the early lead in our incredibly popular Player of the Year points race. Those of you that are unfamiliar with that, the Player of the Year points race, the winner of that race at the end of this 2013 season will get a full year of exemption for the 2014 season. That means seeded into every quarterfinals event of the entire 2014 season. It's a huge value. It's always a battle the whole season after it. Well, David used one of his exemptions, as I mentioned earlier. When you use your exemption, you're not eligible for any points. Once you've decided and declared that you're using an exemption for an event, from that point on, you're not eligible for any points, whether it's participation points or accomplishment points. So David will actually not get any points for this event because he used his exemption to be seeded into the quarterfinals. However, obviously, he's going to be taking home $1,000 that he wouldn't normally be taking home because he wasn't able to qualify. So, very interesting aspect there. Ted will have the early lead in the points race. David Kurlan takes home the first title of the 2013 season. Also, don't forget about our other point races: Rookie of the Year, Female of the Year, Senior of the Year, as well as our Winter Circuit. All kinds of cool stuff. If you want more info on that, check it out on our website under the current season information. And as always, I want to thank all of you out there for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time.